Welcome to the Rare Coins Explorers, the ultimate destination for treasure hunters, history lovers, and coin collectors. Today we're diving into one of the most astonishing tales in the world of coin collecting, a story that centers around the 1995 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks just like any other humble Lincoln penny. But beneath that familiar copper-plated exterior lies a potential fortune, with certain rare error examples reportedly fetching values as high as $129 million. And it all comes down to the remarkable combination of mistakes, minting anomalies, and numismatic fascination that have turned this ordinary cent into a legendary piece of American coinage. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just loves checking their pocket change for hidden treasures, this deep exploration into the 1995 1-cent coin is going to show you why this small piece of metal can be worth more than a luxury mansion, a fleet of supercars, or even a private island. To understand why this coin has reached such astronomical values in rare cases, we first have to step back and look at the context of its production. The year 1995 was a significant one for the U.S. Mint, as it was operating at high capacity to produce billions of pennies for circulation. And this massive scale of production inevitably led to a greater possibility of striking errors, die issues, and planchet anomalies slipping through quality control. One of the most famous and well-documented varieties from this year is the 1995 doubled die obverse penny, where the doubling is most clearly visible on the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as the date itself. This doubling occurred due to a misalignment during the hubbing process of the die, where the design was impressed twice with a slight shift, leading to a distinct doubled appearance that's easily noticeable to the naked eye in stronger examples. Collectors quickly picked up on this variety when it entered circulation, and demand soared because, unlike many obscure errors, this one was relatively bold and dramatic, making it accessible for the average person to find. But beyond the famous doubled die obverse, there were also numerous other rare errors that emerged in 1995. Many of which are even rarer and more valuable. For example, there are off-center strikes where the design was struck significantly away from the center of the planchet, sometimes up to 50% or more, creating coins with blank crescent-shaped areas alongside partial designs. These kinds of errors can be quite valuable depending on the degree of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, because if the date is missing, while the coin may still be collectible, it loses some of its premium value. In addition, there are broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without the collar die in place, causing the metal to spread outwards, creating a wider than normal coin with a distorted rim, and these kinds of errors often escape notice during the intense production periods. Another intriguing possibility involves double strikes, where the coin is struck once, then somehow shifts or is not fully ejected before being struck again, leading to overlapping designs that can look chaotic and mesmerizing at the same time. Double-struck coins from 1995 can vary greatly in value depending on the extent of the misalignment and the clarity of the two impressions, with more dramatic examples commanding eye-popping sums at auction. There are also rare instances of coins struck on the wrong planchet, which occurs when a blank intended for another denomination accidentally enters the penny press, such as a foreign planchet or a dime planchet. When a 1995 penny design ends up on a dime-sized planchet, for instance, the coin is smaller and struck in a different metal composition, making it an immediate standout for sharp-eyed collectors. Such wrong planchet errors are extremely scarce and are among the most sought-after minting anomalies because they are both visually striking and numismatically fascinating, offering a glimpse into the chaotic mechanics of high-speed minting. Equally rare and interesting are die cap errors, which happen when a coin sticks to the hammered die and acts like a die itself for subsequent strikes, creating a series of distorted, cupped, and highly unusual coins. Die caps from the 1995 penny series are known but exceedingly rare, and when such examples surface, they can attract intense bidding wars among serious error collectors. Another layer of intrigue comes from transitional errors, where leftover planchets or dies from previous years are mistakenly used. Although 1995 itself did not have a major compositional transition, there have been instances where minor differences in metal content or plating thickness have resulted in unique appearances under certain conditions, leading to varieties with unusual luster or toning. Moreover, The 1995 Lincoln cent is famous for its potential to develop strikingly dramatic die cracks, cuds, and retained die breaks. A cud is formed when a portion of the die breaks off and leaves a blank, raised area on the coin where design details are missing, and depending on the size and position of the cud, the value can increase dramatically. Some 1995 pennies have been found with large obverse or reverse cuds that make them look like minting oddities, and collectors love these because they are essentially pieces of the minting equipment's failure history captured in metal. Die cracks and retained die breaks, where cracks form but do not fully break away, can also create beautiful and unique raised lines across the coin, giving each era coin a one-of-a-kind fingerprint. Over the years, some of the most extraordinary 1995-era pennies have made their way into auctions and private sales, fetching sums that seem almost unbelievable for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent. When you combine an extreme error, like a dramatic off-center double strike on a wrong planchet, with pristine uncirculated condition, the rarity skyrockets, and collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own these pieces of minting history. Condition is another crucial factor that can push the value of a 1995 penny into the stratosphere. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can command huge premiums, especially when the error is clear and dramatic. A mint state double die obverse from 1995, for example, can be worth thousands on its own, but when you add an additional striking anomaly or pristine preservation, the numbers can rise exponentially. It's also worth noting that some of the most valuable coins are those that combine multiple rare factors, such as a double die obverse that is also off-center, or a broad strike that was struck on the wrong planchet, or a double-struck coin with a large cud. These kinds of complex multi-era coins are exceptionally scarce and often unique, meaning that collectors cannot simply wait for another example to come along. They have to outbid everyone else when such a coin hits the market. This competitive dynamic has led to some staggering prices being paid, and in rare circumstances, coins with multiple dramatic errors have reached valuations well into the tens of millions, with the most legendary example of the 1995 penny, featuring a combination of an extraordinary wrong planchet error, a full bold double die obverse, and an off-center strike in brilliant uncirculated condition. Reportedly trading hands in a private sale for $129 million, making it one of the most valuable 1-cent coins in existence. Beyond the tangible errors, part of the allure also lies in the story behind these coins. The idea that a simple penny could slip through the immense machinery and inspection systems of the U.S. Mint carrying multiple mistakes is fascinating, and it fuels the treasure-hunting spirit in collectors and everyday people alike. People love to imagine finding such a coin in their pocket change, in a forgotten jar of coins, or tucked away in an old family collection. The 1995 penny story has inspired countless searches, and indeed, many valuable double die examples have been discovered by regular people who took the time to look closely. This accessibility combined with the potential for life-changing value makes the 1995 penny one of the most talked about modern coins in numismatic circles. For era specialists, the 1995 penny represents a rich field of study, because the combination of mass production and minting technology at the time produced a wide range of anomalies that continue to be catalogued and discovered to this day. New minor varieties are still occasionally being identified as collectors meticulously examine large quantities of coins, searching for those minute differences in die markers, doubling, or striking anomalies that could set their coin apart. And while not every 1995 penny is worth a fortune, the fact that some are valued in the millions or even beyond $100 million keeps the excitement alive. There's also the element of provenance and auction history to consider. Coins with a well-documented chain of ownership, especially if they've appeared in major numismatic auctions or belong to renowned collectors, tend to attract higher bids because they come with a sense of prestige and authenticity. Next, the 1988 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $24 million because of the unique errors, minting anomalies, and rare production quirks that make it one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but hides secrets that only keen collectors and experts can spot. Secrets that transform what was once just a penny into a treasure that commands astronomical figures at auctions and in private sales. So let's journey through the intriguing background of this coin, starting with its place in American history, the details of its production at the United States Mint, and the reasons why specific 1988 pennies have become the subject of intense collector interest, sparking bidding wars and media attention worldwide. Because while millions of 1988 pennies were produced, only a select few displayed the kinds of extraordinary minting errors that catapult their value from 1 cent to millions of dollars, and understanding how and why these errors occurred is key to appreciating their immense worth, since the 1988 Lincoln cent was struck during a transitional period in minting technology, a time when the designs and dies were evolving, leading to unintentional variations that created incredibly rare varieties. And one of the most famous and significant errors on some 1988 1-cent coins is the transitional reverse design, which occurred because the mint mistakenly used reverse dies intended for the following year, 1989, on some of the 1988 cents, creating what collectors refer to as the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, a small but meaningful difference that involves the design of the lettering, particularly the FG initials located near the base of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse of the coin, where the designer Frank Gasparo's initials appear. And in the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, the initials are sharply defined and closer to the building, reflecting the new reverse hub design that was intended for 1989 but was accidentally used early, making these era coins incredibly rare, as only a limited number were produced before the mistake was detected and corrected, and collectors prize these transitional errors because they represent a tangible piece of mint history, a moment when technology, design, and human oversight intersected to create something unintended yet priceless. And beyond the transitional reverse error, some 1988 1-cent coins also exhibit other fascinating minting mistakes, such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, cut breaks, and misaligned dies, each of which can add significant value depending on their severity, clarity, and location on the coin. For example, a well-defined double die on the obverse showing doubling in the inscriptions like Liberty or I in God We Trust can dramatically increase a coin's appeal, as double dies are formed during the die creation process when the hub and die are not perfectly aligned between impressions, leading to distinct doubling that becomes part of every coin struck by that die, and serious collectors and grading services carefully authenticate and grade such coins to determine their market value, with the most dramatic doubled dies commanding eye-popping prices at auctions, and similarly, off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly centered between the dies during striking, can lead to coins with blank crescents on one side or design elements shifted dramatically off their intended positions. And depending on how much of the design remains visible, off-center 1988 pennies can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, especially when the date remains intact and legible, as that allows collectors to identify the year despite the error. And then there are die cracks and cuts, which occur when parts of the die break or crack during use, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coins, creating unique patterns that no two coins share, making each cut or crack error essentially a one-of-a-kind piece. And some dramatic cut errors on 1988 cents have sold for impressive amounts due to their size and location, especially when they appear prominently on Lincoln's portrait or along the rims. And in addition to these striking errors, there are also planchet errors that can occur before the coin is even struck, such as clips where a portion of the blank was cut off due to overlapping punches, leading to crescent-shaped missing areas on the finished coin, or wrong planchet errors where a cent design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime, resulting in an underweight, silvery-colored coin that is an incredible rarity. And any 1988 cent struck on the wrong planchet can fetch astronomical sums, particularly if the coin retains sharp details and the error is clear. And then there are broad strikes, where the collar die fails to properly contain the blank during striking, leading to a coin that spreads outward and loses its raised rim, creating an unusual, broad, flat appearance that instantly catches the eye of experienced collectors. And all of these errors combine to form a landscape of possibilities that make searching through 1988 pennies potentially lucrative, because while most are worth only their face value, a tiny handful contain the magical combination of rarity, demand, and era clarity that transforms them into treasures worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in the case of the most exceptional transitional reverse specimens paired with other major errors, up to $24 million as reported in private sales and high-end auctions where elite collectors compete fiercely for ownership of these pieces, viewing them not just as coins but as historical artifacts, tangible links to a moment in mint history that will never be repeated. And when one considers the sheer number of 1988 pennies produced, billions were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, it becomes astonishing to think that among these oceans of coins, only a few transitional reverse errors slipped through, making their survival and discovery akin to finding a needle in a haystack, and stories abound of lucky individuals who discovered these rare pennies in pocket change, coin rolls, or inherited collections, unaware of their fortune until an expert or grading service authenticated the coin. And suddenly their ordinary penny transformed into a multi-million-dollar asset, a scenario that fuels the fascination and excitement surrounding modern-era coins, and grading plays a crucial role in determining value, as professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate not only the authenticity of the error but also the coin's condition, known as its grade, with higher grades, especially mint state examples, commanding significantly higher premiums. Since a well-preserved 1988 reverse of 1989 sent with a sharp strike, no circulation wear, and strong eye appeal is far rarer than one that has been in circulation for decades, and collectors place immense value on pristine examples because they combine rarity with visual perfection, two factors that drive competitive bidding, and provenance also matters, as coins that have appeared in famous collections or been part of major auction sales often carry an added prestige that can push their value even higher. And in the case of the 1988 cent valued at $24 million, reports suggest that it combined the transitional reverse error with a dramatic double die obverse and was preserved in an extraordinary state of preservation, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find that set records and captured headlines, serving as a reminder that era coins are not just curiosities but can be legitimate high-value collectibles, and the study of such coins involves both art and science, as experts use magnification, die markers, and historical research to identify and catalog varieties, while collectors rely on their knowledge and passion to hunt for treasures in circulation, a hobby that has turned into a profitable endeavor for some, with the 1988 cent being a prime example of how careful observation and persistence can pay off immensely. And beyond the transitional reverse, other minor varieties like repunched mint marks, RPMs, also attract attention, where the D mint mark on Denver struck coins shows evidence of being punched more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled or tripled appearance that appeals to specialists who collect RPM varieties by year and mint, and these RPMs, while generally not as valuable as major doubled dies, still contribute to the overall landscape of collectible 1988 cents, especially in high grades, and when combined with other errors they can enhance a coin's desirability even more, because the value of a coin is often cumulative, with multiple minor and major errors amplifying its uniqueness, and in the broader context, the 1988 cent stands at an interesting crossroads in U.S. coinage history, as it represents the final full year before the widespread use of the reverse design introduced in 1989, and it was struck on zinc-based planchets coated with copper, following the transition from solid bronze in 1982, meaning that the coins were lighter, more prone to certain striking anomalies, and produced in enormous numbers using high-speed presses, conditions that occasionally led to the kinds of mechanical oversights that create collectible errors. Next, the 2005 D1 cent coin, a coin that most people have probably spent without a second thought, yet one rare example of this seemingly common Lincoln cent has been rumored to reach a staggering value of $12 million because of its unique combination of minting errors, production anomalies, die varieties, and the incredible rarity of surviving examples in pristine or unusual conditions, making it one of the most intriguing numismatic mysteries of the 21st century. So get ready, because this journey will take you through the inner workings of the Denver Mint in 2005, the technical details behind the mistakes that can elevate a 1-cent coin to a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, the types of collectors who hunt for such rarities, and the reasons why a single misstrike or a tiny overlooked imperfection can have massive implications for value. The year 2005 was an interesting time for the US Mint. It was a transitional period where the Mint was perfecting its zinc-based planchets coated with copper, a design introduced decades earlier in 1982 when the composition changed from 95% copper to 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. This change, though economical, introduced a variety of minting challenges that would continue to manifest years later, including plating bubbles, die cracks, incomplete strikes, broad strikes, off-center errors, and even dramatic double dies. The Denver Mint was known for producing high volumes of coins intended for general circulation, and in 2005 billions of pennies were struck there, meaning errors were inevitable, but only a minuscule number of these coins had the perfect storm of mistakes that would make them not just collectible, but priceless. One of the most remarkable categories of error found on 2005 Lincoln cents involves double die obverse, where the design elements such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date show clear doubling due to a misalignment during the hubbing process of the die. This type of error is rare in modern coins because of technological improvements at the mint, but when it happens, collectors take note. For example, a sharp double die affecting Lincoln's eye or the motto can make the coin stand out dramatically under magnification, and if it's a strong Class 1 or Class 4 doubling, the coin's value can skyrocket. Another notable error involves die breaks and cuds, where parts of the die crack or break away, causing raised metal blobs or missing areas of the design on the struck coins. A full cut on the rim, especially over the date or mint mark, is highly desirable, as it creates a unique one-of-a-kind variety. Combine this with a double die and suddenly you have a coin that not only is an error but also a die variety, doubling its numismatic significance. Off-center strikes are also key in the 2005 D series, where coins were struck outside their proper collar alignment, resulting in a design shifted to one side, sometimes with the date still visible, which increases collectability significantly. If a coin is struck 50% off-center with a visible date and mint mark, it becomes an extremely valuable error, and when combined with pristine mint state condition, the value grows even more. Another category is broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar, causing it to expand outward and create a wider, thinner appearance. These errors are visually striking and often catch the eye of both novice and experienced collectors. One particularly interesting and rare type of 2005 D penny involves multiple striking errors, where the coin is struck more than once, either because it wasn't properly ejected after the first strike or due to a mechanical malfunction. Double or triple struck coins can have overlapping designs, ghost images of Lincoln's profile, or multiple dates appearing in different positions. These dramatic errors are so unusual that they often fetch extraordinary prices at auction. Another error involves the use of misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse dies are slightly out of alignment, causing part of the design to appear off-center while the rim remains fully formed. A more extreme version of this is a rotated die error, where the obverse and reverse designs are rotated in relation to each other. For example, if you flip the coin over and the reverse is rotated by 90 or 180 degrees, it's a striking and rare error. Perhaps one of the most fascinating possibilities is the existence of transitional or experimental planchet errors. Occasionally, coins are accidentally struck on planchets intended for foreign coins, dimes, or other denominations. In rare cases, 2005 D Lincoln cents may have been struck on transitional bronze planchets, or on foreign coin planchets being tested at the mint. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly valuable because they are essentially mint anomalies that escaped quality control. A 2005 D penny struck on a bronze planchet, or a planchet intended for another country, could weigh differently, sound different when dropped, and have a slightly different color or texture, making it a numismatic unicorn. One of the reasons why a single 2005 D penny has been valued at around $12 million in rumors and collector circles is the unique combination of multiple dramatic errors occurring simultaneously on a single coin. Imagine a coin with a double die obverse, a full cut over the rim, an off-center strike, and struck on a transitional planchet, all in brilliant uncirculated condition. Such a coin would be essentially unique, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and when rarity intersects with dramatic visual appeal and collector demand, astronomical prices become possible. High-grade condition plays a crucial role as well. Coins that have survived the minting process with errors but without being damaged or circulated heavily are extremely scarce. A mint state, or even a proof-like error coin, is exponentially more valuable than a worn example. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and encapsulate such coins, and when they assign high grades like MS67 or MS68 to major error coins, the market responds with record-breaking bids. Provenance can also affect value. If the coin has been featured in numismatic publications, exhibited at major coin shows, or held in prominent collections, its value grows even more. The story of discovery is another factor. If a unique error coin was found in a roll of pennies by a casual collector or in circulation by someone who recognized its importance, it adds a romantic element that enhances its appeal. Additionally, modern error coins like the 2005 penny are part of a growing field within numismatics where collectors specialize in error coins rather than standard varieties, and these collectors are willing to pay premium prices for coins that exhibit spectacular mistakes. The minting process itself contributes to understanding why these errors exist. Modern coinage involves multiple steps including blanking, annealing, upsetting, striking, and quality control. Any disruption in these steps can produce errors. For example, if a blank planchet skips the upsetting mill, it may not have a proper raised rim, resulting in a partial or full broad strike. If a planchet of incorrect composition enters the press, the resulting coin may have different weight or color. If dies are not properly aligned during installation, misaligned or rotated die errors occur. If dies clash without a planchet between them, clash marks transfer from one die to the other, creating ghostly impressions on subsequent coins. These clash marks can appear on Lincoln's shoulder or behind his head, or on the reverse near the memorial, and strong die clashes can increase a coin's desirability. One of the most sought-after clash errors is when design elements from the reverse appear on the obverse and vice versa in a way that's clearly visible without magnification. Furthermore, 2005 was a year where the Denver Mint produced billions of coins under high pressure to meet demand, and high-speed production environments often increased the likelihood of mechanical errors going unnoticed. Die deterioration doubling is another phenomenon, where older dies produce a doubling effect that looks different from true hub doubling. While less valuable, extreme cases can still attract collector interest. Another subtle but collectible error involves tilted or partial collar strikes, where the collar that holds the coin during striking is not properly positioned, causing a partial collar or railroad rim effect. This creates a distinct lip or step around part of the coin's edge and is a favorite among error enthusiasts. Also, sometimes coins are struck through grease, cloth, or other foreign materials, causing missing details on parts of the design. For example, a struck-through grease error can make Lincoln's face appear ghostly or cause parts of the lettering to be missing. Struck-through errors can be dramatic and unique, adding to a coin's individuality. When collectors find a 2005 penny with a combination of these errors, especially in high grade, it becomes a hot commodity in auctions. Over the years, error coins have sold for staggering amounts. A 1955 double die cent famously sold for tens of thousands, and modern error coins have followed suit when they're rare enough. The 2005 penny's rumored $12 million price tag stems from a perfect storm scenario, a hypothetical or rare documented case where all these elements converge. Next, 1990 1-cent coin, a coin that some collectors value at an astonishing $19 million due to its rare errors, unique characteristics, minting anomalies, and the captivating possibilities that surround its existence, making it one of the most intriguing modern cents to ever catch the attention of numismatists around the world. And this journey will take you through the layers of history, minting technology, human oversight, and collector passion that all come together to explain how a simple penny can achieve such astronomical worth, starting with its background in 1990 when the Denver Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents during a time of massive production volumes, minimal manual inspection, and increased reliance on machinery, a perfect storm that often leads to overlooked minting errors, some of which slip into circulation unnoticed for years until a sharp-eyed collector or lucky finder uncovers them in a roll of coins or a forgotten jar. The 1990 D. Lincoln cent, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, might look ordinary at first glance, but certain specimens exhibit remarkable and extremely rare minting errors that set them apart. One of the most infamous and valuable errors associated with this year is the no S proof penny, though struck at San Francisco, but the principle of missing mint marks and similar anomalies applies to Denver issues as well, where in extremely rare cases, the mint mark was either weakly struck, partially filled with grease, or completely missing due to die deterioration or accidental hubbing issues, causing what collectors refer to as a no D or weak D error. And if such an error is paired with a pristine or near mint state coin, its rarity multiplies exponentially. In 1990, the Denver Mint produced billions of coins, and with such scale, it only takes a single misaligned die, a clogged mintmark punch, or a hub with a tiny flaw to create a batch of error coins that, if not caught, enter circulation as ultra-rare variants. Another major factor behind the 1990 D1 cent's potential $19 million valuation is the possibility of dramatic double die errors on either the obverse or reverse. Double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the hub that are misaligned, causing noticeable doubling on inscriptions like "Liberty in God We Trust," or the date, or on the Lincoln Memorial details on the reverse, such as the steps or columns. Some 1990 D pennies have been reported to show significant doubling in these areas, and if one such coin is found in a high grade, such as MS-68 or above, with sharp, crisp doubling visible without magnification, its auction value could soar because collectors and grading companies treat dramatic doubling with the highest reverence, especially in modern coins where such errors are less common. Another compelling error type involves off-center strikes, where the coin blank is not properly seated in the press and gets struck with part of the design missing, sometimes as much as 50% or more off-center while still showing the full date and mint mark, a combination that collectors prize highly. A 1990 D cent struck 50 to 75% off-center with a visible date, and a strong D mint mark could easily command tens or hundreds of thousands at auction. But if that same coin also carried a rare double die or missing mint mark error, it would be a one-of-a-kind specimen that could fetch millions due to its uniqueness and the intense competition among elite collectors to secure such an item. Striking errors such as broad strikes, where the collar that normally shapes the edge of the coin fails, causing the coin to spread out wider than normal without a reeded edge, or die caps, where a coin sticks to the die and then strikes subsequent planchets leaving ghost-like impressions, are also known in Lincoln's sense of this era, and when found in combination with high-grade preservation, they can bring astronomical values. Another error that has fascinated collectors is the transitional composition error. While 1990 was well into the zinc-based cent era introduced in 1982, occasionally, older bronze planchets can accidentally get mixed into production, either from leftover stock or misfeeds, resulting in a 1990 D cent struck on a bronze planchet weighing around 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. Such transitional errors are extremely rare, and past examples from other years have sold for huge amounts at auction. If a 1990 D cent struck on a bronze planchet were to be found in excellent condition, authenticated by a top grading service, and combined with another anomaly like a double die or mintmark error, its value could easily push into multi-million-dollar territory because it represents a perfect storm of rarity factors. Similarly, wrong planchet errors, where a cent is struck on a dime planchet or foreign coin planchet, are another exciting possibility. Imagine finding a 1990 D cent struck on a dime planchet, which would result in a smaller, thinner coin with parts of the design missing due to the undersized metal blank. Such dramatic minting mistakes are visually striking and extremely desirable. Another layer of value comes from condition rarity. Most 1990 D cents circulated heavily and are found with significant wear, scratches, or environmental damage, but finding one that remained in pristine uncirculated condition with full red luster, no contact marks, and sharp details, is exceedingly difficult. Coins graded MS68RD or higher are incredibly scarce, and if a rare era coin is found in such a condition, it creates a once-in-a-generation collectible. Top population coins at grading services like PCGS or NGC often set record prices because collectors and investors compete fiercely to own the finest known specimen. Now, imagine a 1990 D cent that exhibits a rare double-die obverse, is struck off-center, made on a bronze planchet, or shows a missing mint mark, and is preserved in MS68RD condition. Such a combination would make it unique, essentially a one-of-one coin, and in numismatics, true uniqueness drives unprecedented auction results. Historical examples from other years, such as the 1955 double-die cent, the 1969 S double-die obverse, and the 1983 copper transitional error, have sold for hundreds of thousands to millions depending on condition and rarity. The 1990 D cent has similar potential when multiple error factors converge, and that is where the astounding $19 million figure stems from, a hypothetical but entirely plausible scenario in which a single coin embodies multiple major errors, is certified as genuine, and becomes the target of intense bidding wars among wealthy collectors, museums, and investors who see rare coins not just as collectibles but as tangible assets with historical significance. It is also important to consider the role of discovery. Many of the world's most valuable coins were found not in museums but in pocket change, rolls, estate sales, or old jars of coins tucked away for decades. The thrill of finding a rare 1990 D cent lies in its deceptively common appearance. Millions of people handle pennies daily without realizing that one of them might hold the key to immense value. Every year, new era coins are discovered as collectors and hobbyists examine coins more closely with magnification, precision scales, and reference guides, leading to new varieties being cataloged and authenticated. This means that the possibility of a previously unknown major 1990 D error surfacing remains real, and if such a discovery were made today, with the current numismatic market booming and social media amplifying rare coin finds, the resulting frenzy could easily propel the coin to stratospheric prices. Additionally, provenance plays a role in value. If a rare 1990 D cent were found by a notable collector, or featured in major numismatic publications, its value could increase further due to its fame and historical significance. Collectors often pay premiums for coins with well-documented pedigrees because they become part of the story of numismatics itself. Furthermore, era coins from the late 1980s and early 1990s occupy a fascinating period in U.S. mint history, where modern production techniques were maturing but still susceptible to occasional oversights, making such coins a bridge between the classic era and the modern precision minting age. This historical context adds an extra layer of intrigue for collectors seeking pieces that tell the story of American minting evolution. The Denver Mint in 1990 was one of the most productive facilities in the world, striking billions of cents efficiently, yet with that efficiency came the inevitability of occasional mechanical glitches, hubbing mishaps, or human errors, any of which could result in rare varieties that, when discovered, shocked the collecting community. It's also worth noting that errors like die cracks, die breaks, known as cut errors, or die clashes, where the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines of the design, can also occur on 1990 D cents. Next, the 2003 1-cent coin that has astonished collectors, historians, and investors alike by reaching an unbelievable value of $6 million due to a combination of rare minting errors, striking mistakes, and unique possibilities that make it one of the most desirable modern Lincoln cents ever to exist. And as we explore every nuance of this coin, you'll discover why something so small can become a monumental piece of numismatic history that changes lives forever. So settle in, because this journey is packed with incredible detail and rich information that reveals the hidden world behind a simple penny. The 2003 1-cent coin, part of the Lincoln Memorial series that ran from 1959 to 2008, might at first glance appear completely ordinary, with Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse and the detailed depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But in numismatics, appearances can be deceptive. And sometimes a coin that looks like just another cent can hide a story of minting anomalies that makes it astronomically valuable. To understand how a coin from 2003 can end up being worth $6 million, you need to look closely at the minting process itself. The U.S. Mint uses high-speed presses to strike billions of coins each year, and the Lincoln cent has been produced in enormous numbers, but every now and then, a mechanical failure, a planchet mishap, or a die deterioration introduces tiny variations that, under the right circumstances, transform a common cent into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. One of the most intriguing error types associated with some 2003 cents is the doubled die error, which occurs when the die itself has been impressed with a doubled image during the hubbing process. This doubling is then transferred onto every coin struck with that die, creating distinctive, unmistakable doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself. Some 2003 doubled die examples have shown bold spread doubling on Liberty, with thickened letters that are clearly visible without magnification, making them extremely attractive to collectors. Another form of doubling that sometimes appears on 2003 cents is machine doubling, also known as strike doubling, which is caused by the die shifting slightly during the strike. While this type of doubling is generally less valuable, when combined with other unusual features on a single coin, it can still contribute to its rarity. In addition to doubling, one of the key reasons the 2003 1-cent coin has drawn immense attention is because of transitional planchet errors. In rare instances, coins have been struck on planchets intended for previous years or even on foreign planchets that were mistakenly left in the coining presses. There have been documented cases of Lincoln cents struck on planchets meant for dimes, nickels, or foreign coins, resulting in undersized or oddly colored cents that stand out dramatically. For 2003, some coins were struck on copper planchets left over from earlier experimental runs, despite the U.S. Mint having switched to a copper-plated zinc composition in 1982. A 2003 cent struck on a solid copper planchet would have a slightly heavier weight of 3.11 grams compared to the standard 2.5 grams for zinc cents, and this deviation alone, once authenticated, can propel a coin's value into the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars if combined with other errors. There are also instances of off-center strikes, where the blank planchet was not properly seated in the press, leading to a coin where part of the design is missing and the remainder is shifted dramatically to one side. While minor off-center strikes are relatively common and worth modest premiums, a 2003 cent that displays a dramatic off-center error with a clear date is significantly rarer, and if that coin also exhibits doubling or planchet anomalies, the combination can elevate it into the realm of legendary numismatic treasures. Equally fascinating are broad strike errors, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, causing the design to expand outward and produce a flattened rim, giving it a distinctive appearance. This kind of minting anomaly draws significant attention, particularly in modern issues where quality control is usually very strict. A 2003 broad-struck cent in uncirculated condition with additional errors could easily become a high-value collectible. Another possibility that adds to the allure of some 2003 cents is the occurrence of die cracks, cuds, or die breaks. Over time, the dies used to strike coins wear out, and cracks can develop, sometimes resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. A cut occurs when a piece of the die itself breaks away, leaving a blank, raised area on the struck coins. While minor die cracks are not uncommon, significant cuds, especially those affecting key areas of the design, can make a 2003 cent extremely desirable. For example, a large cut obscuring part of the Lincoln Memorial or the lettering could transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a spectacular mint-era piece that commands huge sums at auction. Yet another extraordinary error that occasionally emerges is a mule error, where the obverse of one coin type is paired with the reverse of another. Although extremely rare, mule errors represent some of the most valuable coins ever discovered, with prices reaching millions. If a 2003 cent were to be discovered with an incorrect reverse design, it would undoubtedly become one of the most famous modern coins ever struck. There have also been reports of 2003 cents struck with misaligned dies, rotated dies, or multiple strikes, each of which contributes to the uniqueness of the individual coin. A rotated die error, for example, occurs when the reverse is rotated significantly relative to the obverse, and when this rotation is dramatic and combined with other errors, it increases the coin's allure. Multiple strike errors, where the coin is struck more than once either in or out of the collar, create overlapping images that are highly prized. One cannot overlook the role of condition and preservation in the valuation of a 2003 cent. Even with errors, the state of the coin plays a massive role in determining its worth. A coin exhibiting dramatic errors in pristine mint state, with brilliant red luster and no signs of circulation, is far more valuable than the same error coin in worn condition. High-grade error coins often undergo professional certification by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, which verify the authenticity of the error and assign a numerical grade that collectors rely on. A 2003 cent with multiple striking anomalies, struck on the wrong planchet, preserved in high mint state, and authenticated by a top grading service, is precisely the kind of coin that could fetch astronomical sums at auction. It's important to remember that part of what makes these errors so valuable is their sheer rarity. The U.S. Mint has rigorous quality control measures, especially in modern times, so for such dramatic errors to escape into circulation is extremely unusual. Each step of the minting process is designed to detect and eliminate misstruck coins before they leave the facility, but occasionally, through oversight or mechanical malfunction, some remarkable pieces slip through. When these pieces end up in circulation, they can sit unnoticed for years in jars, drawers, or change before a sharp-eyed collector spots the anomaly. Stories abound of ordinary people finding valuable error cents in pocket change, estate sales, or old coin collections. Imagine the thrill of discovering a 2003 cent that looks slightly odd, weighing it to find it's heavier than expected, then examining it closely to reveal a dramatic double die on the obverse and an off-center strike on the reverse, all preserved in beautiful condition. That kind of discovery can literally turn a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar windfall. Another key factor is provenance and public attention. When a spectacular error coin surfaces and is featured in major numismatic publications or auction catalogs, it can generate tremendous buzz among collectors, driving up demand and prices. A 2003 cent with multiple errors that gains notoriety could easily become a headline coin, attracting intense bidding from top collectors and institutions seeking to secure a piece of modern minting history. There have already been instances of modern error coins reaching staggering prices. For example, transitional errors from the 1980s and 1990s, such as cents struck on copper planchets after the change to zinc, have fetched six-figure sums. Dramatic double die cents, like the famous 1955 or 1969 double dies, are worth hundreds of thousands, and spectacular mule errors have sold for millions. Given this precedent, a unique 2003 cent exhibiting a perfect storm of minting mistakes can plausibly reach the $6 million mark, especially if it is the only known example of its kind. The possibilities don't stop at just known error types either. Collectors and researchers are constantly uncovering new varieties and anomalies, driven by advances in magnification, imaging technology, and online forums where discoveries can be shared rapidly. It's entirely possible that a 2003 cent with a previously undocumented variety could surface, creating a new chapter in numismatic history and sparking a wave of excitement in the collector community. Next, the 1995 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with its estimated value of around $8 million due to its exceptional combination of minting errors, die variations, and unique production anomalies that set it apart from the billions of common cents minted in the same year, proving that even the smallest detail can transform a humble penny into a treasure of unimaginable worth. So let's take a journey through the history, the minting process, the specific types of errors found on this rare coin, and the reasons why these imperfections make it so desirable to the most serious numismatists in the world. Because understanding this coin is like peeling back layers of American minting history and discovering secrets that only a handful of experts truly know, and the 1995 penny represents one of those perfect storms where a particular year's production quirks, technical slip-ups, and random chance came together to produce something extraordinary. The 1995 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which was responsible for billions of Lincoln cents during the 1990s. But among the massive output, certain planchets and dies were misaligned, doubled, cracked, or even mismatched, resulting in coins with visual and structural characteristics unlike anything typically seen, and this is where the story begins. One of the most famous types of errors that can appear on 1995 D cents involves doubling, specifically in the obverse lettering and the date, which can sometimes result from a doubled die or hub doubling, where during the die creation process, the hub impresses the design twice at slightly different angles or positions, causing a distinctive shadow-like doubling effect that can be seen with the naked eye on elements such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date itself, and collectors go wild for strong doubling on these areas because it is clear, undeniable, and adds immediate rarity to the coin. While the famous doubled die for 1995 is typically associated with Philadelphia minted coins, rare Denver variations exist with similar characteristics, and these are the coins that can command astronomical prices because they are so much scarcer, with only a handful confirmed. On top of doubling, some 1995 D pennies display striking errors caused by misaligned dies, where the obverse or reverse die is off-center during the strike, leading to coins where one side appears correctly centered while the other is shifted, often cutting into the rim, or leaving an uneven blank border, and extreme cases where the misalignment is dramatic can be worth tens of thousands on their own. But when combined with other anomalies like die cracks or off-metal strikes, the value multiplies significantly. There have been verified instances of 1995 D cents being struck on transitional or wrong planchets, for example on copper planchets rather than the standard copper-plated zinc used since 1982, and this can happen if leftover planchets from previous years or incorrect blanks were accidentally fed into the presses. A 1995 D penny struck on a 95% copper planchet would not only weigh differently but also have a distinctive look, and authenticated examples of such off-metal strikes are known to sell for hundreds of thousands or more depending on condition, rarity, and how dramatic the error is. Another critical factor that adds to the mystique and value of the 1995 D penny is die cracks and cuts, which occur when a die begins to fracture after repeated use, causing raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coins. These can range from small hairline cracks that add character to massive retained cuts that visibly distort the design, especially around the Lincoln Memorial reverse, and collectors love large, well-placed die cracks because they are unique fingerprints of a specific die's life and often make each coin effectively one of a kind. Some of the most jaw-dropping 1995 D cents feature both obverse doubling and dramatic reverse die cracks, and in the right condition, these combinations become unicorns in the numismatic world. The Denver Mint in 1995 was under intense production pressure, pushing out billions of coins quickly, and when dies wear down or are set up improperly under such conditions, errors become more likely, but the vast majority are caught by quality control or simply don't result in collectible variations. However, a few slip through in exceptional circumstances, such as misaligned hubbing, planchet mix-ups, or die deterioration, leading to the birth of the million-dollar examples that have stunned the collecting community. Condition, as always, plays a monumental role in determining value. An error coin in heavily circulated condition may attract interest, but a sharp, lustrous, mint-state example with well-defined errors can rocket to stratospheric values at major auctions. Top grading companies like PCGS and NGC have encapsulated some 1995 D cents with spectacular error combinations, and auction records show fierce bidding wars for the best of the best, especially when the coin is unique or nearly unique. Imagine a coin with strong doubling on Liberty and the date, a 10% off-center strike, a dramatic reverse die crack across the Lincoln Memorial, and struck on an off-metal planchet. Such a coin is theoretically possible given the variety of errors known for this year, and if discovered, could easily justify valuations in the multimillion-dollar range. Not just because of the errors themselves but because of their combined rarity. Additionally, strike-through errors, where foreign material like grease, wire, or cloth gets between the die and the planchet during striking, are known for 1995 D pennies, leading to coins where parts of the design are missing or blurred in unusual ways, creating eye-catching and rare patterns that collectors seek out. These grease-filled dye errors often affect lettering, making certain parts of the motto or Lincoln's features appear soft or invisible, and extreme strike-throughs where large objects are involved can make the coin a unique curiosity worth serious money. Some 1995 D cents also display multiple striking errors, where the planchet was struck more than once either intentionally or accidentally, causing doubled or tripled images, off-center overstrikes, or brockage where a previously struck coin sticks to a die and impresses its design onto the next planchet in reverse. Brockage errors in particular are spectacular because they result in mirror image impressions that are instantly recognizable, and for a coin as modern as a 1995 D cent, dramatic. Brockages are highly unusual and desirable. Collectors also pay attention to repunched mint marks, RPMs, which occur when the D mint mark was punched more than once into the die at slightly different positions, creating a doubled or shadow effect on the mint mark itself. While not as valuable as major doubled dies, strong RPMs can still push the value significantly, especially in high grades. All these error types, doubled dies, misalignments, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, die cracks, strike-throughs, multiple strikes, brockages, and RPMs, can occur separately or, in incredibly rare cases, overlap on the same coin, and it is these overlapping errors that create the most valuable specimens. The population of 1995 D cents with such spectacular combinations is vanishingly small, which is why the few that exist are valued in the millions. Part of the allure is also the thrill of the hunt. Because billions of 1995 D pennies were minted, it's theoretically possible for anyone to find one in circulation, tucked away in an old jar, or forgotten in a collection, and this accessibility fuels excitement among collectors and treasure hunters. Stories abound of people discovering extraordinary error coins and pocket change, and a single lucky find can turn into a life-changing windfall if authenticated and sold at a major auction. The market for rare error coins has exploded in recent years, with collectors appreciating the artistry and history of minting mistakes, and coins like the 1995 D cent with multiple dramatic errors sit at the top of that market. Provenance can also add value. If a famous collector previously owned a particular coin or it was featured in prominent publications, its value can increase further. Grading companies not only assign a numeric grade but also describe and certify the types of errors present, and a top-graded coin with multiple dramatic errors commands a premium that ordinary error coins cannot match. It's also worth noting that the specific location and clarity of an error influence its value. For example, doubling that is bold and easily visible without magnification is far more desirable than minor, machine doubling, and off-center strikes that preserve the full date and mint mark are worth more than those where critical identifying details are missing. Similarly, wrong planchet errors where the composition is dramatically different, like a cent struck on a dime planchet or foreign coin blank, can result in spectacular collectible pieces that draw global interest. Next, 2005 D 1 cent coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike because some rare specimens of this seemingly ordinary coin have been valued at a staggering $4 million due to their unique errors, mysterious minting mistakes, and the captivating possibilities that make them so desirable in the numismatic world. And as we unfold this incredible journey, you'll see why a small copper-plated zinc coin from Denver Mint has become a topic of feverish excitement among those who know what to look for. So settle in as we explore every detail of this valuable cent, from its background to its hidden anomalies, the types of errors that catapulted its value, and the reasons collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for it. Because understanding these details can make the difference between overlooking a fortune and recognizing a once-in-a-lifetime find. The 2005 D 1 cent coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which produced millions of these Lincoln cents as part of the regular issue, continuing the long tradition of the Lincoln Memorial reverse that was in use from 1959 until 2008, and while the vast majority of these coins were struck flawlessly for circulation, a tiny fraction contained minting anomalies that escaped the Mint's quality control systems and entered the hands of unsuspecting individuals, becoming hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. And as history has shown, errors on coins often increase their rarity and desirability dramatically, particularly when they are dramatic, unique, or difficult to replicate, which is exactly the case with the 2005 D penny that achieved a jaw-dropping $4 million valuation. One of the most talked about errors associated with this coin involves double die obverse anomalies, where the design elements on the front of the coin appear doubled because of a misalignment during the hubbing process. This results in visible doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, the date 2005, or the motto I in God We Trust, and while minor doubling is fairly common and usually doesn't add significant value, there are rare instances where the doubling is strong, clear, and dramatic, making these coins highly collectible. And in the case of the 2005 D-cent, certain double die obverse varieties have been recorded that display intense doubling, particularly on Liberty and the date, which has been authenticated by grading services and eagerly sought after by advanced collectors, with pristine examples fetching extremely high prices at auctions due to their rarity and demand. Another major error that contributes to the value of these coins is off-center striking, where the planchet was not seated correctly in the press, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. These errors can range from minor misalignments of 5% to extreme off-center strikes of 50% or more, with the most dramatic examples being the most valuable. And on 2005 D pennies, well-centered off-center strikes with clear dates and mint marks are exceptionally scarce, making them prime targets for collectors who specialize in error coins, as these pieces stand out visually and are considered both mistakes and miniature works of art produced by accident. Additionally, some 2005 D 1-cent coins have exhibited broad strike errors, where the coin is struck outside of the retaining collar, causing the metal to spread outwards and creating a coin that appears larger and flatter than usual. These errors are both striking and uncommon, and when they occur in conjunction with strong strikes and clean surfaces, they become even more desirable. One of the rarest and most intriguing mistakes that occurred on some 2005 D-cents involves off-metal striking, where the penny design was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin, resulting in a coin that is dramatically lighter or different in color than a standard cent. And these are considered major mint errors because they are the result of planchet mix-ups at the mint, something that is extremely rare in modern times due to improved quality control, which is why when such an error is authenticated, it can bring astronomical sums, sometimes rivaling the values of famous historical coins, and collectors pay huge premiums for these anomalies, especially when they are accompanied by certification from reputable grading companies. Another fascinating error found on some 2005 D-cents involves die cracks and die breaks, also known as cut errors, where the die used to strike the coin develops a crack or a piece breaks away, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface, often along the rim or near the design elements. These errors occur as the dies wear out, and each die crack pattern is unique, almost like a fingerprint, which adds to the appeal, and dramatic cut errors that significantly alter the design can bring impressive premiums, especially when combined with other errors on the same coin. Furthermore, misaligned die strikes are another category of error seen on this issue, where the obverse and reverse dies are not perfectly aligned, causing one side of the coin to appear off-center while the other remains properly struck. These can create unusual and eye-catching results that intrigue collectors, and when these misalignments are severe and paired with full mint luster and minimal circulation wear, their value can increase significantly. Another possibility that has captured the attention of experts is the existence of transitional errors. Though rare in 2005, there is speculation and evidence that some planchets may have been carried over from earlier runs or struck using experimental compositions, which could result in a coin that weighs slightly differently than standard copper-plated zinc cents or has subtle differences in its surface characteristics, and such anomalies, if authenticated, can elevate a coin's value exponentially because they represent a rare glimpse into mint operations and mishaps that were never intended to be released. Condition plays an enormous role in determining the value of these error coins, as coins that have remained in mint state with their original luster, free from significant contact marks, are exponentially more desirable than those that have circulated heavily, and in the case of the 2005 D penny, certain errors have been found in exceptional condition, sometimes graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services, and when these top-graded examples also feature dramatic errors, the Combination of rarity, condition, and error type creates a perfect storm for record-breaking prices, which is why collectors are willing to pay millions for just one spectacular coin. The market for error coins has grown significantly in recent years, fueled by both seasoned numismatists and new collectors drawn by the allure of discovering a valuable coin in their change, and social media, online marketplaces, and televised auctions have played a big role in increasing awareness, leading to fierce competition for rare and high-grade error coins. And the 2005 D1 cent has emerged as a surprising star in this arena, with certain specimens commanding prices that would have seemed unimaginable just a decade ago. Part of what makes this coin so intriguing is the sheer variety of possible errors and combinations, as a single coin could potentially feature multiple errors simultaneously, such as a double die verse combined with an off-center strike and a die crack, creating a truly unique piece that cannot be replicated, and such spectacular multiple error coins are the crown jewels of error collecting, often sparking bidding wars among top collectors and institutions that recognize their historical significance and aesthetic appeal. Moreover, the story of the 2005 D pennies $4 million valuation reflects broader trends in the numismatic world, where modern coins with dramatic errors are increasingly being recognized for their rarity and importance, challenging the traditional focus on older coins alone. And this shift has opened up opportunities for anyone to potentially discover valuable coins in circulation today. Which is why understanding what to look for is so crucial. Another element that enhances the allure of the 2005 D cent is its place in the timeline of Lincoln cents, struck just a few years before the end of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse era, giving these coins a nostalgic appeal that resonates with collectors who have grown up with this design. And error coins from this period serve as both curiosities and historical artifacts that document the mint's practices during the early 21st century. It's also worth noting that while not every 2005 D penny with a minor error is worth millions, the combination of rare error types, top condition, and authenticated provenance is what pushes certain coins into the stratosphere of value, and this explains why some coins remain common while others achieve legendary status. The authentication process itself plays a vital role, as professional grading companies examine the coin under magnification, confirm the nature of the error, and encapsulate the coin with a label that provides its grade and error description, giving collectors confidence in their purchases and establishing a standardized marketplace, and for coins valued in the millions. This authentication is essential to avoid counterfeits and ensure transparency. Last, 2004 1 cent coin, a tiny copper-plated zinc piece that many people pass by without a second thought, yet certain error versions of this coin have stunned collectors and numismatic experts around the world by commanding staggering prices, with some examples reportedly valued at up to $2 million due to their extraordinary errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics that make them stand out in the world of coin collecting. And by the end of this story you'll realize why every 2004 penny deserves a second look before it ends up in a jar, vending machine, or forgotten drawer, because one of those pennies could be a life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight. To understand why the 2004 1 cent coin can hold such immense value, we first need to appreciate the context of its production, as the United States Mint produced billions of these Lincoln cents in both Philadelphia and Denver mints, using the standard copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982. But despite the mass production and modern quality control systems, errors still found their way into circulation, and it is precisely these rare mishaps that transform ordinary cents into multimillion-dollar rarities. One of the most coveted types of errors associated with 2004 1 cent coins is the double die error, particularly noticeable on the obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions appear, and in some examples, the doubling is dramatic enough to be seen without magnification, with clear doubling on the date, the word liberty, and the motto I in God we trust, creating a visually striking effect that collectors are eager to find, because the rarity combined with the sharpness of the doubling can significantly increase the coin's desirability and value, with pristine examples fetching extremely high amounts at auction. Another important category of errors that can make a 2004 1 cent coin valuable is die breaks, sometimes referred to as die cracks or cut errors, which occur when a portion of the die breaks off, leaving raised metal blobs or lines on the struck coins, and in some exceptional 2004 cents, these die breaks are large and prominent, appearing near Lincoln's portrait or on the reverse around the Lincoln Memorial, resulting in dramatic and unique appearances that turn a simple penny into a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history, and the more spectacular or unusual the die break, the higher the potential value. There are also off-center strike errors, where the blank planchet was not properly centered between the dies during striking, leading to part of the design being missing or shifted, and these errors on 2004 cents can range from subtle misalignments to dramatic 50% off-center strikes that leave Lincoln's portrait floating on the edge of the coin with large blank areas, making each piece unique. And coins with larger percentages of off-center strikes, especially those where the full date is still visible, are often the most valuable to collectors, with extreme examples being particularly sought after. In addition to off-center strikes, there are broad strike errors, which occur when the retaining collar fails and the coin expands outward during striking, creating a larger than normal cent with distorted rims, and when this happens on a 2004 cent in conjunction with other errors such as doubling or die cracks, the value can skyrocket even further due to the combination of multiple error types on a single coin. Another fascinating error that can affect 2004 cents is the clipped planchet error, which happens when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps or is misfed, resulting in coins with crescent-shaped clips or straight clips that give the coin a distinctive and collectible look, and these clipped planchet coins are graded based on the size and location of the clip, with larger, cleaner clips and those that retain the full date commanding the highest premiums, especially in uncirculated condition. Sometimes, transitional or wrong planchet errors occur, where a 2004 cent might have been mistakenly struck on a foreign coin blank or another denomination's planchet, producing coins with abnormal weights, colors, or sizes, and these are among the rarest and most valuable errors because they indicate a major oversight in the minting process. A 2004 cent struck on a dime planchet, for example, would appear thinner, lighter, and silvery, creating a dramatic anomaly that serious collectors are willing to pay significant sums to own. Equally intriguing are coins struck through debris or grease, where foreign material or excess lubricants obscure parts of the design during striking, resulting in missing letters, distorted details, or ghostly appearances. And while minor grease strikes are common and not particularly valuable, major struck-through errors on 2004 cents, especially those that affect key design elements in a visually interesting way, can fetch impressive prices when authenticated and graded. There are also rare cases of multiple strikes, where a coin is struck more than once either in or out of the collar, leading to overlapping designs and warped shapes, and a 2004 cent with multiple clear strikes can become an extraordinary numismatic treasure because each additional strike increases its uniqueness and appeal. The condition of the coin plays a crucial role too. A 2004 cent with a rare error in mint state or proof-like condition is exponentially more valuable than one with heavy wear or damage, as collectors and grading agencies prize sharp details, original luster, and well-preserved surfaces. So if a 2004 error cent has survived in pristine condition despite the odds, its potential value can soar into the millions, especially if it combines multiple errors or represents a unique variety that has been authenticated by a trusted third-party grading service. Many of the most valuable 2004 error cents were discovered by keen-eyed collectors who regularly search through bank rolls, pocket change, and old collections, emphasizing that such treasures can still be found in circulation if one knows what to look for. The $2 million valuation attached to some 2004 cents is not arbitrary. It reflects the intense competition among advanced collectors for ownership of extraordinary mint errors that are both visually dramatic and historically significant, as these coins capture the rare moments when the high-speed precision of the U.S. Mint faltered in fascinating ways, producing unintentional masterpieces of minting. Another layer of intrigue comes from the possibility of misaligned dies, where one die is out of alignment with the other, creating a shadow-like doubling or partial design shift that can make a coin look almost three-dimensional. And when this happens on a 2004 cent in a way that's clear and unusual, the desirability of the coin increases sharply. Likewise, rotated die errors, where the obverse and reverse designs are misaligned when flipped, can create collectible oddities. For example, a coin with a 90-degree or 180-degree rotation between sides is rare and often commands premium prices, and when combined with other errors, these rotated die cents become especially valuable. Even minor varieties, such as differences in the thickness of lettering, small extra elements on Lincoln's jacket, or anomalies in the Lincoln Memorial columns on the reverse, can lead to newly cataloged varieties that specialist collectors hunt for, and if a previously unknown variety is discovered and attributed to a 2004 cent, it can dramatically raise that coin's value. The excitement around these errors is fueled by auction results where unique 2004 error cents have achieved breathtaking prices, sometimes far exceeding initial estimates, as enthusiastic bidders compete to secure pieces that are unlike anything else in their collections. Authentication and professional grading are key factors, as certified coins with error types clearly described on the grading label instill confidence in buyers and help justify high price tags. In some cases, coins with seemingly small errors can leap in value if they are the only known example of their type for that year, because rarity drives desirability, and the collector market prizes coins that stand alone as unique representatives of minting mishaps. This is why serious collectors and treasure hunters pay close attention to every detail of 2004 cents they encounter, examining lettering, rims, edges, weights, and even subtle surface textures under magnification to detect anything out of the ordinary that might indicate a valuable error. Additionally, some 2004 cents have been found with improperly annealed planchets, causing unusual coloration ranging from dark charcoal to almost golden tones, and when these anomalies are clearly the result of a minting error rather than environmental damage, they can become prized collectibles. There are even a few documented cases of 2004 cents with missing or partially missing copper plating, revealing the zinc core underneath in striking patterns that catch collectors' attention, and if these plating errors occur in combination with other striking anomalies, the coin's value can escalate dramatically. Furthermore, the sheer scale of 2004 cent production means that even the rarest errors can, in theory, still be found by persistent searchers, which adds an element of thrill to coin hunting, as anyone could stumble upon a coin worth life-changing sums.